For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The United Nations Office of Human Rights condemned the mass graves unearthed in Gaza at the Al Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis weeks after Israeli forces staged a total takeover and siege of the hospital, then left. 283 bodies so far have been unearthed in the mass graves, with reports of extrajudicial executions, including medical staff and children found with their arms bound, medics with bullet holes in their head in what could be a war crime. Ravina Samdasani is a spokesperson for the UN Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights.
We are horrified also by the destruction of Al-Nasser Medical Complex and Al-Shifa Medical Complex, and the reports of the discovery of mass graves in and around facilities. And we call for independent, effective, transparent investigations into the deaths. Given the prevailing climate of impunity, this should include international investigators. Hospitals are entitled to very special protection under international humanitarian law. And let's be clear, the intentional killing of civilians, detainees, and others who are hors de combat is a war crime.
Mass graves were also unearthed earlier this month near Al-Shifa Hospital in the north, where hundreds of bodies were found. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is preparing to invade Gaza's southern city of Rafah in the coming weeks. The UK's Independent is reporting in May. The AP is reporting satellite images show a new compound of tents being built near Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip ahead of the Rafah invasion to evacuate some 1.3 million Palestinians in Rafah too. U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller spoke critically of any such plan Monday.
We don't want to see Palestinians evacuated from Rafah unless it is to return to their homes. And we have made that quite clear to the government of Israel that we don't think there's any effective way to evacuate 1.4 million Palestinians. There's no way to conduct an operation in Rafah that would not lead to inordinate civilian harm and would severely hamper the delivery of humanitarian assistance. And that's the point that we continue to make to them.
Israel says Rafah is the last Hamas stronghold as its war in Gaza rages on now in its 7th month. Student activism against the war in Gaza is spreading. 150 students, activists, and faculty were arrested last night at Columbia as faculty joined students defying the school's peace encampment sweep. 45 were arrested at Yale University. Anti-war encampments are also happening at 3 Boston universities, Tufts, Emerson, and MIT. Also at Rutgers, Penn, Harvard, New School, Vanderbilt, University of North Carolina, New York University. An encampment is also up at the University of Michigan, University of Ohio, California Poly Humboldt, and University of California, Berkeley. The Supreme Court heard arguments whether a law that bars homeless people from sleeping outdoors violates the Constitution's ban on cruel and unusual punishment Monday. Christopher Martinez has more.
Lawyer Kelsey Corcoran argued for the respondents challenging the new law.
Although the city describes its ordinances as punishing camping on public property, it defines campsite as any place a homeless person is while covered with a blanket. The city interprets and applies the ordinances to permit non-homeless people to rest on blankets in public parks, while a homeless person who does the same thing breaks the law. The ordinances, by design, make it physically impossible for homeless people to live in Grants Pass without facing endless fines and jail time.
She argues that the Grants Pass ordinance punishes people not for something they do, but for their status, homelessness. Chief Justice John Roberts challenged her on that point.
Violating this ordinance means upon being asked to leave, you don't leave.
Violating this ordinance means you're homeless. So again, homelessness is not something you can that you do. It's just something that you are.
The justices are expected to issue their ruling this summer. U.S. Deputy Solicitor General was asked what Grants Pass will do if the city loses the case.
The city's hands will be tied. It will be forced to surrender its public spaces.
Justice Sonia Sotomayor wondered about the alternative. What if the city wins?
Where do we put them if every city, every village, every town lacks compassion and passes a law identical to this? Where are they supposed to sleep? Are they supposed to kill themselves not sleeping?
I'm Christopher Martinez.
The Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments in a case filed by Starbucks against the National Labor Relations Board. It stems from Starbucks' firing of 7 workers who were trying to unionize their store in Memphis, Tennessee. The labor board asked a court to intervene and rehired the workers. Starbucks wants a Supreme Court to curb the board's power in those cases. Workers at 420 company-owned U.S. Starbucks stores have voted to unionize since late 2021. But none of them have secured a labor agreement with the company. Lawmakers in the Senate are set to take the final steps to send legislation on a $95 billion foreign aid package to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan to President Joe Biden for his signature. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.